Welcome back to the show, kids. You know what's up. You know what time it is. You know why you're here. No, it's not to talk about Star Wars, although we may do that. You are here, season 3 of the Ted Lasso Review Podcast, also known to you lot as Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Tom Clark here with you as always, joined by Jay Luft and Joe Higgens. And we are here for season 3. Count them off. Season 3 is here. If you are following us in real time, you're going, God, it's about time. What's happened? Hey, look, real life gets in the way. I don't know what to tell you. We have jobs outside of this stuff, okay? And while we enjoy doing this, we have to make room and make time. However, when we actually get to it, it's awesome because we all three thoroughly enjoy doing this. I can't wait to get cracking. We've had a blast in season 1 and 2. Season 3 is the third, and to this point, final season of the show that we know is Ted Lasso. If anything ever happens to begin or moving forward, it may be called something else. We have no confirmation of anything, so don't anybody get too excited. But as of right now, third and final season of Ted Lasso. Joe, let's start with you. Going into episode 1 of season 3, we're finally here. Thoughts as we go into episode 1?
I'm excited to delve into this because season 3, all the episodes are like longer. They're like 45 minutes ish, so we're getting a lot more stuff put in there. But again, this is the third act. This is everything that the first 2 seasons have built up is now coming into play. Everything, all of these little seeds that we've talked about and have been planted, this is where everything comes to fruition. This is where everything blossoms and withers. And it's we get new characters. Even in the third season, we get new characters introduced. We get to see like Nate's full transformation into like the thing he becomes. It's just a lot happened. Every season of it has its own like strengths and weaknesses, but again, I'm just really excited to get into it because I've missed doing this so much because I've all this stuff bubbling in my head, ready to go, and like due to work and the sun being against us, it turns out, not the shitty newspaper, the actual like sky god. It's just let's go.
For sure. So Joe just referenced Raw there for you, Jay. So I'll throw it to you now. Thoughts going into episode 1, season 3?
Well, first off, with the Star Wars references to get going, I'm gutted that we didn't call this the rule of Two Nations Under Ted now.
That's it. Done.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we've just probably spent about 40 minutes talking about Star Wars, haven't we? Yeah, so I'm really excited about this. As Joe said, there's a lot of new characters that get introduced, but like they all feel kind of meaningful and like important to the story. Even like a couple of little characters where it's just like, yeah, they're great. I genuinely can barely remember anything about this series, so it's like I'm watching it for the first time again, which is good.
Same.
But I from watching this episode, I really enjoyed it. It's weird because like there's a couple of like little things that happened. I was like, wait, why is that happening? Which we'll get to, but it's like, yeah, okay, let's roll it. Yeah, looking forward to talking about it again.
I think it's because of season 3 coming out when it did. I'd rewatched the first 2 seasons like twice before the third season came out, and then I only watched it once, and that was it, done. But going back into it now, I'm like, oh, I need to rewatch this like all again.
Yeah.
Just again from the start. Just never stop. Just keep rewatching it.
Just take a whole week off from work, man.
Oh.
Yeah, take a whole week off from work. Make it happen. So, kids, we know why you're here. I can't wait to talk about this. Let's don't waste any more time. Let's get to it. And it's episode 1, season 3 of Ted Lasso. And this episode is entitled Smells Like Mean Spirit. For my Nirvana fans, you know what this reference is. Of course you do. And if you're watching the video version, once again, we refuse to cover up our friend Joe's lovely face.
I mean, here
we go, folks. Original air date, March 15th, 2023. This episode was directed by MJ Delaney. It's amazing it's been that long. Story by Leanne Bowen. 12 episodes in season 3, and boy, are some of these long. So buckle up, hold on to something, because here we go. When last we left the Ted Lasso gang, we saw an important year for AFC Richmond as Jamie Tartt returned to the team and the club finally began to gel as a unit on the pitch. Roy and Keeley continued their relationship, which began to hit some bumps in the road as Rebecca and Sam began and then ended their own romance. Ted remained the guiding force of the team and finally began to deal with his personal issues despite the departure of Dr. Sharon. But even as AFC Richmond clawed their way back to the Premier League, the long downward spiral of Nate Shelley finally came to fruition as he betrayed Ted, left the team, and became the new manager of West Ham under their new owner, Rupert. And that sets the stage for how we embark. Get ready, folks. We open on Ted himself, the man, and it's a nice callback for season 1. And guys, if everyone recalls, season 1, we open with Rebecca, and the first season is kind of about Rebecca. Season 2, we open on the extreme close-up of Nate. Season 2 is about Nate. Season 3, the extreme close-up is Ted. Season 3 is about Ted, about the title character. And I thought that was a nice little bit of synergy. Ted's looking distraught, to say the least. He's in the airport with Henry. Ted's phone goes off and it's Michelle saying, "Have a safe flight, I love you," which you imagine is not directed at Ted, of course. It's directed at Henry. Lady behind the desk knows Ted as they approach, and Ted tells his son, we got to go. Got to get going. Look, guys, before we go any farther here, that look on Ted's face is just, it speaks volumes. It's part of the duality of that character where his exterior is funny and the quips are 1,000 miles an hour, and that's the Ted that he portrays. And the other side of him is sad to a great extent because he can't be a real person in front of everybody else. I mean, we really see that in this opening shot.
It's the Tears of a Clown thing, isn't it? It's him doing all this, but it is just, again, props to Jason Sudeikis for being able to carry that off so incredibly well, of being like the mask, but then just those moments where it slips and you just see like Ted is just, he's just a man, like, and he has the same troubles and problems as everyone else, but he never shows them to anyone. Like, Beard knows, Dr. Sharon knows, Rebecca knows to some extent, like, but everyone else, he's just Ted. Like, just and yeah, it's like you said, this sets up basically like it's Ted's season.
It is, as it should be.
Yeah, even with the that opening shot as well, like you can see, like obviously something's not right with Ted. Like he's got 5 o'clock shadow. He looks a little bit more disheveled, but not like. Obviously, we know like when his hair's all over the place, that's when Ted's like sort of like critical. But he's probably at, oh yeah, like we're getting close to something bad happening here. We need to keep an eye on that. But yeah, it's very clever the way they kind of do that with like Ted's appearance. Like obviously, when he's like clean shaven, well, except for his mustache, and he's like his hair's all in the right place, that's like Ted's not okay, but he's got everything under control.
But that's the armor, isn't it? That's the thing you put on to present to the world that he does.
Yeah, but it's clever that obviously the fact that he's, as I say, he looks a little bit disheveled. He looks tired. He's got like 5 o'clock shadow, and it's because Henry's going back home and he can't control her. He literally has no control over that. He's got to send his son back to America. It's just a really clever like way they've kind of portrayed that. Also, 3 seasons in, how can this kid not act yet?
Don't get me started on Henry, mate. You know how much I hate it.
It's rough.
How we go from Henry, who is terrible, to Roy's niece.
We literally go from a scene later in the episode, brilliant. Which is like it's literally goes from Phoebe to Henry. It's like, oh boy, that just accentuates how bad this kid is at acting.
that's privately educated acting school against down the docks. Yeah.
I mean, I got only 3 words for you. Ready? Amen, Big Ben. I'm like, that's it. Come on, kid, wake up. We're on TV here. Let's get this going. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, to your point, the kid that plays Phoebe's fantastic, and you can make the excuse of Phoebe as a character is bubbly and she's I'll stop. I don't,
No, I'm not having to go with the kid. Like,
Oof.
it's not his fault.
Yeah.
He's rubbish.
No, yeah. I mean, he's just not like, he's not very good at this. Oh, yeah.
We're not here to shame children, but get him.
He definitely he definitely sleepwalked through that scene. Like
he does, big time. I like the little banter back and forth. The lady at the counter, Ted apologized and said we got distracted. Little guy was trying to unlock Princess Peach on Super Smash Bros. She says, I totally understand. I once held an entire flight to Sydney hostage until I finished the final level of Breath of the Wild. Ted says, feels like a potentially troublesome sentence to say in this setting, but hey, I appreciate it. To their credit, they're trying to write Henry as they write Ted. Because she asked Henry if he's excited to get back home, and he says, to my toys, yes. To my country's political landscape, not so much. Which is a great line, but he can't.
It was like one of those things that people lie about on Twitter and stuff. Like, my 7-year-old said, what do you think about and it's like a 7-year-old doesn't care about the political landscape. And I get it, like Henry's Ted's son, like through and through.
Yeah.
But shut up.
It's funny because Ted's like, I have a tendency to doze off when CNN is on. So there you go. He goes to tell Henry goodbye, and it's obviously not easy. He's telling Henry that he's loaded up his iPad with movies so he doesn't have to watch his neighbor's screen. The less movies about clowns in the sewer, the better. Henry responds with, Amen, Big Ben.
Amen, Big Ben.
Henry's made him a tiny Premier League trophy just until he wins the real one. He tells Henry when he gets home to give his mom. I found this interesting. When you get home, give your mom a big squeeze. Let her know that I love her. That was weird to me. Where'd that come from? I don't know.
I think it's because he's spent the entire summer with his son, and I think it's probably brought back like just happy memories and the fact that like he still loves her.
Oh, of course.
Like there's different kinds of love. I think we said, didn't it? It's like there's like romantic love, and then there's like the way I love you and Jay. There's the way I love mozzarella sticks. Like there's lots of different like things, and I think he still cares for her, and like he still loves her, but just tell her I'm thinking of her. And
I think with Ted with Michelle as well is that like obviously it's not like a one-way street, but it's like he there's every now and again where he has like these little slip-ups, like in the previous season where he refers to her as his wife, and then he goes, sorry, ex-wife, and like he says when he like sends her the message about or when she sends him the message in season 2, like checking up on him after the panic attacks, and he then tries to kind of like just have a normal conversation with her, and then he kind of like sort of stops himself and goes, it's not my business, it's not my place to talk to you about that. I think it felt like it was one of those things where it was just like, but also not to give too much away. It is like definitely planting a seed for the way the series is going to go, like this season's going to go.
Oh yeah.
Good call.
This whole scene is essentially the seed for the direction the season's going, and we know it's focusing on
the
Ted.
end of this episode, particularly.
We know it's focusing on Ted. By the end of the episode, we know that he's incredibly homesick, and he doesn't know why he's still in London. I think that this scene is a very clever way of not like outwardly saying, well, this is where we're going, but sort of like giving the impression that Ted's not really happy in London anymore. He's misses home. He misses his son in like crazy whenever he goes back. And there's a lot of things. Again, it comes down to like things Ted has a bit more control over, where he's a bit more relaxed, than things that he doesn't have control over affecting him in a more adverse way.
It's show don't tell.
Yeah. On a side note, did any one of you guys ever travel on a plane as a child by yourself?
I've been on a plane 3 times in my entire life, and one of those was like powered by steam or something. Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
There's dudes in the back shoveling coal. Is that what we're talking about?
Literally, The pilot was kicking the tires as I got on it. I was like, this isn't going to end well. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Pilot dressed like Steamboat Willie. Can do that now.
There you go. Well, we could write that story. That'd be fine. Can't come after us now.
No. I've never been on it as a child, and
Me
I find
neither,
it
yeah.
weird that you would put your child on a plane unaccompanied to fly halfway across the world. But
I'm sure it happens all the time, probably more than we think. But I guess it's as safe as anything if the flight attendants understand. I don't know. I don't know what the protocol would be for that. If it would, I don't know how that'd work.
I'm assuming he's in like posh class, isn't he? He's like Rebecca will have sprung for upgrades.
Yeah.
I think they do it like that, where they'll have like someone who's basically like an escort for them. Yeah. So someone who's like who's on that flight, sort of like looking after them on the flight, and then when they get off, they'll hand them over to like the parent or guardian when they get to the destination as well.
I just find it weird, but yeah.
Me too. Yeah. So he puts Henry on the plane, and then he calls Dr. Sharon. As he's talking to her, we hear Wigwam by Bob Dylan playing in the background. And we get this interesting, like, I guess it's scene setting for the, season 1 episode, season 3, episode 1. We're setting the scene of Ted going throughout the town, and he's bumping into people, and you hear the voiceover of him talking to Dr. Sharon. And he goes back to his flat, and there's a lot of Legos there, and there's Nelson Road Stadium that he and Henry built together, coaches and players. You can see the little Nate, and we'll circle back to that. And he's telling her stories. Like, I remember being left at school when I was Henry's age. I ended up helping our custodian, Mr. Maher, clean half the school until my dad remembered to come pick me up. He gave Mr. Maher cash for babysitting me. I showed up to school the next day. Mr. Maher gave me the money as payment for the work I'd done. So then I used that money to buy him a thank you gift, but never got a chance to give it to him because, well, he ended up getting hit by a train. She says, well, I didn't see that coming. He said, yeah, well, neither did Mr. Mayer.
And you're going, is this true? Is this just like Ted spinning yarns? Because it's so unbelievable.
This scene reminded me so much of The Big Lebowski. Just like
just
because it's like a completely nonsensical story that's like got no bearing whatsoever on the actual like rest of the episode, and obviously with Bob Dylan playing in the background as well, that probably that probably added to reminding me of it, because there is obviously a Bob Dylan in The Big Lebowski.
It's we find out that like Ted's dad is an honourable man. The custodian, honourable person. Like, it's Ted's sort of father figures of him doing the right thing as well.
It's Ted's kind of sense of morality, isn't it? That's like you see how it's formed.
He's wondering out loud to her why he's still there, and she reminds him that you don't quit things. He believes that his presence is hurting more than helping. And there's this weird spot with the baby in a stroller where he says, hey, holy smokes, I love that hat. I recognize you from that show, Leaky Diapers, don't I? Which was like, boo. I got it, but like...
We can't all be singers,
That's true, yeah. He's walking...
Maybe that's another sign that Ted's like not quite right at the moment, that like one of the zingers is just a bit...
He's doing bad stuff.
It just kind of fell flat, because even like you look at like the mum, and she's just like, what?
What was that? I like how we hear the voiceover as he's walking. He walks by Mr. Man, who just flips him off and keeps walking. I thought they were okay now.
He waves at him and then does it. It's almost like it's a bit.
Yeah. It's like Mr. Man respects him, but also he's still,
Oh, he tries asking her some personal questions, including if she's seeing anyone and what team she's working with. And he figures out it's a rugby team, which I like the way he did that math. He says rugby is like American football, and sumo wrestling gave birth to a baby with huge muscular thighs all caked with mud. So I'm glad that we got to see Dr. Sharon here in the very beginning. And it looks like Ted's getting closer to a better place. Jay, real quick for the football side of this, when he's saying to her, I'm not sure why I'm still here. I mean, it's a show, it's not real. And he was brought over to destroy the team, but then things changed. Then he got him back to the Premier League. So Jay, technically speaking, does he have a point? Why am I still here? Or would the rest of the town be like, You're here to help us win. That's why you're here. I mean, at what point is there a disconnect here?
I mean, it does happen where managers just lose not lose interest, but lose kind of like the passion for being there. Like, obviously, he got them relegated in the first season, and in his mind,
only just.
Oh yeah, but in his mind, it was like, okay, he's getting sacked, but then he didn't, and then he got them back up, so then he's in that better position. I think now it's almost like he's quite like, again, because he's clearly homesick. He clearly misses that. He's questioning why do I care about this club so much that I want to stay here? And I think it does happen with a lot of football managers, where especially if they're like, because a lot of football managers do like travel to a different country to manage a team. You just got to look at the Premier League at the moment. There's like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, there's at least 2 or 3 Spanish managers. There's an Italian manager. There's at least two German managers. I think there's 2 Portuguese managers. So there's a lot of managers who basically will move over there because of like the allure of the job, but then they'll struggle with like missing home or like the city they've moved to not being right for them. Though it does happen a lot more than you'd think. In Ted's current position, it is a bit of a weird one, because obviously he's been there for 3 seasons, and it definitely felt like he has a bit more of a sort of a bit more of a stake in wanting to kind of like finish his sort of like goal.
Finish the story.
I really didn't want to say finish the story.
Yeah, I know. But I think
Nice.
down to basically him being more like, why am I putting my personal happiness behind the success of this club? Like, and that's the way I put it. As was just like, like they said, he's clearly not happy, but he knows he has to see it through, and he cares for these people as well.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
He cares for them, and it's the dichotomy of Ted is that he'll put his own self, he'll put other people over his own self.
Well, it's like he said in, is it season 1 or season 2, where he was like, oh yeah, me and my wife were going through problems. I needed to give her space, so I decided to go halfway across the world. And it's like, it's almost as if that kind of like gut reaction to try and give her space, he didn't take into account his own happiness, and he didn't take into account the impact that it'll have on him and his son. Like, he's just kind of like knee-jerk gone, okay, I'll give you space. I've just been offered this job in England. I'll go to England.
We've established that he never puts himself first. Ever. The thing we get next is something that reoccurs throughout this entire episode. Rebecca and Higgins are in her office, and she's upset that all the papers, TV are predicting the team will come in dead last this season. Every newspaper, every television pundit, every lonely middle-aged sports blogging loser writing in his mother's basement. Higgins says, oh, Rebecca, that stereotype really isn't true anymore. For example, our 10-year-old Terry started writing a sports blog in our kitchen, which we now call his home office for tax purposes. She says, right, well, I apologize for the generalization. Where does your son have his finishing? And, of course, Higgins goes,
Also, only Higgins would have a 10-year-old son called Terry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think this is quite good in the way it shows how like inexperienced Rebecca is as the owner of a football club, because generally when a team gets promoted, unless they like barely got relegated the previous season by like the skin of the teeth, largely they'll be kind of like said, oh yeah, they're probably going back down.
Yo-yo teams, I think we referred to them as.
Yeah, yo-yo clubs.
This was my question, Jay. Does it make sense that the minute they get back, the press immediately writes them off as if it's not going to work?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, obviously, like with any league, they're always going to have like news pieces trying to predict where people are going to end up, so they can revisit it at the end of the season to see what they got right and what they got wrong.
Right.
again, with a team like Richmond, where they've got a very inexperienced coach, they've got not necessarily the best team, but they obviously play with a lot of unity. But for like a layman looking at the squad on paper, they'll look at that and go, they don't stand a chance.
Lazy journalism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%, which is one of the things I criticize most about football journalism, is that a lot of it is very lazy.
Well, it's like Roy said last season. You don't know. You're not down there. You're not with them.
Yeah, exactly.
You can cast aspersions on it, but you don't know.
Yeah. So it does happen a lot. Usually, as I say, if it's either a team that's just come up and they don't look like they've got a hope in hell of staying up, or sometimes as well, it can be like a team that's like barely survived by the skin of the teeth the previous season, and then it's just like, yeah, they're not going to do that again.
This was the thing that weirded me out about it, though, because like they only just got relegated, didn't they? In season 1, they only just got relegated.
Yeah,
and then like they won League One.
Yeah.
So I don't see why they would be so negative about it, because they only just got thinking, and then they stormed it in like the last season. So
yeah,
that was the one thing that didn't really sit right with me. And in my head, I put it down to Rupert having these influences going, just chat shit about them.
Probably that too, but I think a lot of it would have been down to the fact that that obviously they'll literally be looking at all the teams on paper. So the two teams that come up from the Championship with Richmond could have had much more experienced managers, much better players, and
we've spent way too long on this.
Yeah,
I was thinking like it's a throwaway line.
It's one of those things, but also as well, it's setting up nicely, because there's a lot of times where like teams have been like written off. Most like notably in the last sort of like 10 years was Leicester City, where they got written off that they were getting relegated that season. They didn't stand a chance in hell of staying up. They won the league.
Yep.
So
wow.
Was it like 500 to 1 was the odds? And some guy
it was 5,000 to 1.
Yeah, some guy put 20 quid on it, and then like the bookies trying to make him cash out, and he's like, no.
They were like absolute favourites to be like relegated.
Yep.
They were if they weren't like number 1, they were definitely number 2 to get relegated. No one thought they stood a chance of winning the league. And
go and read up on it, Tom, because it is a fascinating,
interesting
bit of just weird football stuff. I genuinely was like, this is fact when it happened at the time. I was like, this is brilliant. I love an underdog. The fact that
I put money on Leicester to win the league that season when would it have been? The odds were much less, but I still won a bit of money. I want to say it was probably about November. I put like 20 quid on it, and it was like 50 to 1. So I was like, all right, yeah, okay, just do that. But that shows like, again, it went down so drastically because everyone was like, they were winning, and it was like, oh, there's no way they're going to be able to keep this up. Look at the team. And then all of a sudden it got to a certain point where it was like, oh, fucking hell, they actually might do this here.
Yeah, bookmakers started, like I said, they can't, some lifelong like Leicester fan put money on it at the start of the season at like 5,000 to 1, and by mid-season they were contacting him going, do you want to just take like a payout? And he was like, nope.
Yeah,
and he got dollars for it. Yeah,
a lot of bookies were panicking because those people who put like the silly bet on, thinking, "Oh, this will never happen." But what if it does? And then there was obviously, when it was starting to gain a bit of steam, it was like there was people like me who were like, "Oh, those odds are still actually all right. I'll just throw some money on that and see what happens."
Yep.
Wow.
And then they ended up winning the league. Which was insane, but I think that's what this kind of season's sort of like alluding to, is that just because a team's written off, it doesn't mean they can't win it. It's just what, like, as I say, it's just the journalists looking at a team on a sheet of paper and going, oh, that's not as good as that team. They're probably going to finish here.
Take that, pundits, because you're not always right. So that's a lesson we take from that. When Ted comes in, there's barely a greeting. Rebecca notices. She says, "No rhyming salutation. Something wrong?" He says, "Way to notice, Amos Otis." Get it out. Which is indeed different for him. He explains that Henry is going back to Kansas. By the way, there is no direct flight. Just a little tidbit there for you. There is no direct flight to Kansas from there. So there you go. It is what it is.
I believe the airport code is wrong as well on the.
It is wrong as well. Yes. Yeah. Dropped him off a little bit ago. Now he's up in a plane, 10,000 feet in the sky, and Rebecca goes, "I think they fly higher than that," which is a good line. He says, "I'm down here on Earth checking my phone every 10 minutes, watching his plane get further and further away. But hey, I didn't mean to come in here and tinkle on y'all's toenails. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening." And then she talks about how,
is it Hair? The music.
Is it?
The buzz, tell me what's happening. It's a song I think it's Hair or Jesus Christ Superstar or.
Interesting.
It isn't a musical. It's a song from a musical. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. Yeah.
I will find out for you now because I have.
Not important, but it was just one of those things. I was like, I know this song,
but it makes sense.
Yeah,
it totally makes sense. She says apparently everyone has picked Richmond to finish 20th place this season. Higgins says except the Daily Mirror, which has us finishing 20th, an adorable but devastating typo. So Ted says, "I predict all their predictions ain't going to come true. So it looks like we got ourselves a prediction Mexican standoff, or as they call it in Mexico, a prediction standoff."
It was Jesus Christ Superstar. Joe.
Is it Jesus Christ Superstar? Yeah.
There you go. Rebecca says the worst part is they picked Rupert to finish in the top 4, and Ted goes, "Rupert's going to play this year?" That's awesome.
One of Ted's complete misunderstandings of the situation.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Ted's being a bit more smart here than he's letting on, because he keep, and obviously there's a reoccurring theme throughout this episode of Rebecca's letting Rupert get to her. She's thinking of West Ham as Rupert and not West Ham.
Yep.
So when like obviously there's a bit we'll talk about later on in the episode where again this kind of crops back up, but in this exact moment I think Ted's kind of reminder going that they're just another team. Like it's another team we want to finish above, which is kind of like what it kind of all boils down to. Like it doesn't matter whether you've got like a rivalry with the owner or not. At the end of the day, from a footballing standpoint, that's a team that you want to finish above.
Rupert's not playing; it's the team. Yeah.
And we have this interesting bit back and forth where he starts correcting her grammatically because she says, "How are we going to beat him?" And Ted goes, "Them." And she says, "Exactly." And you're like, "That's Tedism. It's a bit." And then you're like, "No, it's not." Because she's not thinking about how do we beat the team. She wants to beat him. Yeah. So that's not an accident, which makes sense.
And it is that weird thing because in the previous 2 seasons, like she's over Rupert. Like after the funeral episode, he can't get to her anymore.
Yeah.
But this has got really under her skin with everyone going, "Yeah, you're gonna lose to your ex-husband." And I think Ted comes in and kind of tries to disarm it as well by just doing his bits, like the Rupert's going to play, like all that. I think it's just to disarm it and try and get her back focused on all the stuff they've done previously. Which,
Higgins is talking about.
Yeah. No, it's just Ted doing what Ted does, is helping other people at his own expense.
Yeah, for sure. Higgins is talking about, updating the roster, adding some more firepower to the team. And Rebecca tells him it's a great idea. Let's put some feelers out there, shall we, Ted? And Ted stutters before he says, "Well, I know Roy and Coach Beard are working on some new tactics. The fellas we got are already gelling real nice. I think we're going to do fine this season." And she says, "Ted, this team doing just fine is a far cry from you telling me that we're going to win the whole fucking thing." He goes, "Whoa, when did I really say that?"
Did I really say that? Yes, over there, before you spat loads of water at me.
So,
there's two reaction to this.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's 2 things in play here for me. Like one thing is Ted really taking this job seriously as we were kind of questioning in season 1 and 2? He doesn't know much about the game. Is he really investing himself emotionally in this team? He is in the players, but in the, it ain't all about winning. It's not about winning. And everyone's like, yes, it's about winning. That's what you're here for, So there's that at play, but also the play of Rebecca being like, the emotions are out of it now. Let's win. I want to win now.
Yeah.
And let's make moves to win. But Ted's point of view, guys, is like the team's gelling nice. If we throw in somebody we don't know, that could disrupt the team. He doesn't say that, but you're thinking that.
Yeah, he spent the past 2 seasons making this team, for want of a better word, a family. Like, that care about each other, that, go to each other's things and all of this stuff, make them function as a unit as opposed to a series of individual players like Jamie Tart was at the start. Like, they all work as a functioning unit now, and he's right, adding someone in could mess that up. Like,
yeah.
But also I think it comes down to the fact that, like, Ted, again, is homesick, and he's questioning why he's there and why he should care anymore. Like, I get it, and it's the weird thing about this scene is that Ted's happy with things the way Ted's happy with things the way they are, but yeah, Rebecca wants to punish Rupert more again. It's a strange thing.
Yeah, and basically she wants a Ted Lasso that's to coach the team that's willing to fight. And he says, "You watch. From now on, I'll be floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee. Except I won't die immediately after using my stinger. I plan to float and sting for the entirety of the whole season." Some of these jokes aren't landing too well in the beginning, but they get better.
One, to be fair.
Really? I didn't really care for that one.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, because again, he said it, and then he was like, "But I have to then go back and correct my own thing."
Again, though, it's showing that Ted's not really himself. He's even like him walking in the room and Rebecca pointing it out, it's immediately set the precedent that Ted isn't quite himself, and stuff where he's his reaction to bringing new people in, where normally he probably would have been quite receptive about it, whereas now he's like, well, I don't think we need to kind of
it's not rock the boat.
And it does happen sometimes. Like a team will bring in a new signing, and it will just completely disrupt everything, and they won't fit in, they won't gel. It will, what you've had the previous season where a team have been playing incredibly together. You just add that one extra ingredient. It's like making a meal. You add that one extra ingredient, and it can just throw the whole thing off.
Too many cooks. Yep.
Yeah.
Rebecca excuses herself for lunch with Keeley. Ted tells her to tell Keeley howdy, and he throws it to Higgins, who just goes, "Yo," which is really good. Out of the blue.
It's the way as well after Ted goes, "Yo."
Rebecca he just goes, huh?
There's moments when I look at Higgins and I think he is as awkward as Nate, except Higgins is a fully formed adult and Nate isn't. But there are moments if you catch Higgins off guard, he's just like, he doesn't know what to say. You know what I mean? He's not quick with the comeback. So yeah. We see the locker room as the guys are all upset that they're getting picked dead last. Danny says, maybe they're trying to motivate us. And then he gives the big Danny smile, which is awesome.
Forever the optimist, Danny, yeah.
Yeah.
Colin says, I had a woman accost me on the street telling me I should fake an injury this season so I wouldn't have to deal with the misery. Bumbercatch says, did you tell her to piss off? He goes, no, she was a nun. They must get Sky Sports in the monasteries. And all the guys cross themselves, and Danny is all about it. He's doing the thing, as if it's a big deal. Jamie's like, we ain't going to get relegated because we're together. And together, we got me. Which is nice.
Yeah, again, Jamie not fully grasping the situation is the thing I love.
Yeah, I think with Jamie though as well, he's at least now it's not coming from a malicious place. Obviously the first series, he's because but it's one of those things where he's always trying to sort of bring the team together and sort of even there's that scene that we're going to talk about in a minute where they're in training talking about everyone wanting them to finish last, and it's even then Jamie's trying to sort of uplift everyone. Go, it's not what you think it is. But yeah, it's
again, it's just Jamie's just lack of self-awareness. Is it the Christmas episode where he didn't buy presents? It's just he's just he lives in his own little world, doesn't he? It's brilliant.
Yeah. Jan Moss says, statistically speaking, most teams who get promoted are relegated the very next year. They're all like, come on. They're all
but it's Jan,
just
yeah.
I was like, shut the fuck up, Jan Mouse. And he's up in his face. Jan says, it's the Premier League. It's just statistics, man, which is good. We go to Beard and Roy in Ted's office. Roy says, so I finally watched it. I like it. Gene Hackman was good. The drunk geezer, stuff with the team. I did have one question. What the fuck is it? Why the fuck is it called Hoosiers? The reference to that movie, it's a classic college basketball movie with Gene Hackman. The official, where it comes from is it's to describe folks who lived in the state of Indiana.
Yes.
The origin of the term remains a matter of debate, but Hoosier was in general use by the 1840s, popularized by Richmond resident John Finley's 1833 poem, The Hoosier's Nest. Indiana adopted the nickname the Hoosier State more than 150 years ago.
Oh.
Connective
I only
tissue.
know it's from the M3. It's Uncle Hoosier Love. That's the only reason I ever heard of it. But yeah, I've seen the film. But yeah, I like the little Roy and Beard back and forth, just opposite sides of the same coin. Yeah,
I like that they have that weird connection that only they understand.
I just imagine Beard going, "Oh, you need to watch this film," and giving him the DVD, and Roy going,
Remember in season 2 when Keely walked into the room and they're just staring at each other and not speaking?
I think uncomfortable. I think of just being in someone's company and uncomfortable silences, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Ted comes in and asks Roy if he's working on some trick plays. Roy tells him about the 4-4-2, which is 4, and Ted stops him. 4 defenders, 2 in the midfield and 2 up front. Beard says, God, I'm proud of you. This is good.
Took him 2 seasons to understand the most basic formation.
Yeah, no kidding. He only got it from the FIFA game with Henry. It's the only reason he knows it. He says, we both learned who Maradona was, and I had to explain to my son why cocaine is actually bad for you. That's a great line.
Oh, good old Diego.
It's the way of, it's actually bad for you, as if to suggest that cocaine has a medicinal purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like there's medicinal use.
It was, wasn't it? Like you could buy it in a shop. You Fortnum and Masons and just buy a bucket of cocaine.
Well,
I
was going to say,
I don't know how you buy it.
Diego Maradona was big in like the late 80s, early 90s, so he's pretty much fueled on cocaine.
Oh yeah, he was. And then when he stopped it, it all came home to roost, didn't it? He got big fat. Yeah,
he did.
Oh,
he did.
Yeah. Great for your metabolism, cocaine is. I'm telling you, weight loss.
Yeah,
I'm fairly sure it was prescribed as a slimming pill as well, wasn't it? It was like just take like shitloads of coke and
it works.
Yeah, it's not good for you, like as Ted says.
Roy says, these little pricks have played 4-4-2 ever since they were kids, which means they'll always know what they're supposed to do, and more importantly, where they're supposed to be at every fucking minute of every fucking game against every fucking opponent. Ted says, ooh, who invented this thing? The Russians? Roy and Coach Beard both go, yeah.
Yes.
And Roy's like, look, I know I don't have Nate's fucking tactical super brain, but I do know it's more important to be solid than clever when you're the underdogs. Ted says, yeah, the underdog. He says, okay, I hear you loud and clear. Hey, Coach, how come you never hear of an overdog? Beer says, in German, the Uberhund, but in English, we say top dog, or more specifically, West Ham, which is a great little segue to the West Ham bit. So we get our first look at the Dark Nate here. Follow the Leader by Eric B. and Rakim. Hats off to the great Eric B. and Rakim. Awesome. When Nathan enters the West Ham office. Yes, really good stuff. Nate's driving his small car. That'll come back. And he parks. Look at all the. He parks beside a red Ferrari, doesn't he?
He's parked in. His car is. It's an old Mini as well, isn't it? It's not like one of the new ones. It's an original Mini, like
70s Minis.
But it's just him going like into the building.
Yeah,
and. It's the weird thing is like he's trying to project this aura of I'm Nate Shelley, and he's still lost. Like it's these big shots of him just in empty hallways and
it's done like it's definitely shot that way to kind of illustrate that obviously at Richmond Nate was very much like a big fish in a small pond, and now he's come to West Ham, who obviously have like the I think it's the London Stadium it's called. Basically the stadium they made for the Commonwealth Games, so it's massive.
It's horrible. It's a horrible stadium, but yeah.
It is. Even that shot of like him like going up like the two like crossing escalators and no one else being on them. It just looks vast. It's like it's definitely to kind of like illustrate that he's gone from being like you look at Richmond and it's like all very small, very close knit,
very narrow corridors and stuff, and everyone's passing each other all the time, and it's just him going up the escalator on his own, and it's again the allegory of him rising above, but there's no one there for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I got thoughts about Nate. Last time I said this, y'all went, what could it be? And then I surprised both y'all with, I'm not buying this. My opinion is much different after this episode, but I'll save it. Because I saw things in here that I warned you guys at the end of season 2. I was like, maybe give me till season 3. Maybe, guess what? In the first episode, I completely am connecting now. Now it makes sense. But it took me to get this far for some weird reason for it to make sense. But yeah, the place is immense, as you guys said. It's massive. He goes to his office. First thing he does when he sits down at his desk, opens his laptop, checks social media.
Boom.
Jesus Christ, again,
validation that he needs because his father never gave it him, and the only way you can get it is by random neckbeards on the internet.
Yeah.
Terry, Terry, the 11-year-old.
Right. A coworker pops his head in. There he is, the Wonder Kid himself. Nathan, without a beat, get out. Just that quick. Guy just leaves. Crazy. We go to Keely's office.
I feel like that. I was like that when I used to go in the office and stuff, and people going, "Oh, how was your weekend?" I don't care.
Yeah, don't talk to me. We're not friends.
No.
We go to Keely's office and we see Rebecca. She's coming in to see her, and Keely's finishing up a conversation. She says, "I just don't think Mrs. Welton would have a whole lot to say about the unfair advantage of being a female owner in sports." And when she hangs up, she says, "Fuck you, Joe Rogan."
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
By the way,
you Piers Morgan from last series.
Yes. And from your friends here at Two Nations under Ted Lasso Podcast, fuck Joe Rogan. Okay, sorry. I'm not apologizing for that.
So, it's not a brave stance.
No. But it needs to be repeated. So. We're on the record. We're officially on the record. So I love when these two see each other. They scream like two little schoolgirls, which is awesome. And Keely comes around out of the office. She says, "Sorry, everyone. This is my friend, my former boss, my angel, mentor, guru, and Rebecca. These are the poets and the geniuses behind KJPR. This is the biggest collection of sad sacks I've ever seen. They're just
it's so good. No, because it's like
nothing.
Keely is this like bubbly, vivacious person, and she just employed the most grey drones. Like it's
terrible.
And do we ever see them out from behind the desk? They're just like clicking and working constantly at these desks.
Yeah.
They
go into her. It's crazy. Well, it's disarming, isn't it, to see the contrast between the two? It really is. There's not even any personalities out there, right?
It's her trying to G him up and be like, I love you, and then it's like, yeah, whatever. Like
So good. There's the one guy. We'll get to him in a second. I like the one guy. He's funny. But they go into her office. Rebecca says, "God, it's like a real office out there. People typing and being awkward and everything." And Keely agrees with it. It's so bananas, right? Oh, and I found out why I got such a good deal in this place. The previous tenants, they had to break the lease because the boss kept getting caught pinching his employees' butts all the time. It does explain why my office comes with fun features like this. Pushes a button and all the windows instantly shade to white.
Witchcraft.
Yeah.
I was like, I want that.
And she presses
going on in my life, but I want auto tinted windows, man. That's
I could help with that for like my lighting situation right now.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, for sure. After she presses the sorcery button, she starts crying. Immediately crying.
Like
blubbering, crying. She says, "I'm so busy that I have to make time in my schedule to sit in my desk and cry."
Crying good, though.
That's so
like an orgasm for the soul.
Yes. And I've double booked you.
That is, yeah. I've even double booked you. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. Back to the dog track. The team is running drills outside and talking as they go. Sam's like, you know who else picked us to finish last? Colin says, please don't say Adele. Sam says, Paddington Bear. It was on his Twitter account. Jamie says, yeah, I saw that. On a scale of 1 marmalade sandwich to 5 marmalade sandwiches, we've got no marmalade sandwiches.
Again, it's just nonsense. Like,
and he says, even that sweet little bear does not believe in us. Thoreau says, I think it's probably other people writing for him. Danny goes, wait, what? Straight-faced.
Yeah, I love how shocked Danny is that Paddington isn't real.
As we've discovered, Paddington is the collector of souls, isn't he? Yeah.
I was going to say he's too busy killing queens to have a social media account. Come on now.
Have you seen that guy on Twitter who the title of his Twitter? Yes. Yeah. I photoshopped Paddington until I forget to, or something like that. So every day there's another movie scene with Paddington.
Yep. It's one of those little joys to wake up and go, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. Ted says, what the heck is going on out there? These guys are more distracted than a bunch of cats playing laser tag. They hear all the pundit. And he says, they hear all the pundits saying, what's up?
That's a proper Ted, though, that.
That's a good one.
Tag. Yeah, he's back.
And Roy says, fuck pundits. Coach Beard says, you were a pundit. And he says, yeah, and all we did was talk shit and eat fucking meringues. He just left it there, too. He didn't finish the story. He just left it there.
The green room of Sky Sports. It's just meringues.
Ted asks if Kenneth is around. By the way, have we ever met Kenneth? Did we meet him in season 1 and 2?
No.
Don't we meet him when he on Beard's night out? Was that so? No, that's hang on, let me check back through my notes.
No,
when they traveled to where'd they went to Nottingham? Where'd they travel to? Where they hadn't won a game?
They traveled to Manchester,
Everton.
don't they?
Liverpool.
Everton.
Liverpool night out, innit? Yeah. But he might be there, but he never speaks at that point.
Right.
I was gonna say I was checking if it was the guy that lets the people in. It's not. It's Pierre.
No, he's like an old Cockney villain, isn't he? The guy that lets them in. Yeah.
Right.
Like he's got like a leather hat on Annie, and he's like, "Way," like yeah. Whereas this guy is like a roadie burnout from Rainbow, isn't he? Yeah, the band Rainbow, not the TV series.
It's not Bungles gone feral.
Jokes for just me and Jay there.
I was gonna say I'm just gonna keep going because I don't know what's going on. Anytime I'm not included, I'm like I don't know what's going on. Ted says, "Is Kenneth around today?" And Will goes, yeah, no, Kenneth lives here." He goes, "Oh no, yeah, no, he does work a lot." He goes, "No, he literally lives here at the facility." He's like, "He does since when?" Well, ever since his cult got shut down. Kenneth was in a cult? No. He's the leader of one. I like how he corrects him as if that's preposterous.
I love like, when he says that as well. In the background, you see Beard look at Roy, and Roy just nods at him.
Yep. I've never heard of. He used to be a cult leader, but now he gave it up. He's doing something else now. Because usually that doesn't end well. Yeah,
it's normally murder suicide, isn't it? Yeah, but
exactly. Yeah. I mean, just never ends well.
But again, like the bit we see of Kenneth. I imagine his cult was just taking vast amounts of drugs and having sex, like which is most cults, to be fair.
Yeah,
it is most cults, to be fair.
But yeah,
that's good. Ted tells the team to get on the bus. He said, "We're taking practice on the road. Everyone run except Roy. Let's go!" Because he said the last one on the bus had to eat a little bug. So
a little bug. Again, it's just like from the misfires earlier on. We're back on 100 mile an hour Ted at this point.
Yeah.
But everyone except Roy, and Roy just strides off.
Yeah. We've established Roy can't move very fast.
No. He's
trick knee of his. Yeah. Back in Keeley's office, they're talking about how good the cry was, as you guys mentioned. Keeley mentions that everyone's predicting Richmond is coming in last. Rebecca's more concerned that Ted doesn't seem that concerned. Keeley reminds him, well, you just have to let Ted be Ted, which is an excellent line.
Comes back later on, yeah.
Rebecca says, "I'm more bothered that
marks on her shirt at this point."
Yeah. The 2 eyelashes.
How much mascara have you got on, Keeley?
God, I know. Yeah, really. Rebecca's more bothered that Rupert must just be so happy right now. She's like, he's really gotten stuck in your head these days, huh?
Yeah.
And she's like, I mean, no, but yes, he's not stuck in my head the same way he used to be. I want to destroy everything Rupert loved and owned and coveted. You know, like Left Eye from TLC when she burned all her boyfriend's trainers in the bath and ended up burning down the entire house.
Yeah.
Keely says, ultimate gangster move.
Good reference if she didn't murder a child. But yeah, whatever. Move on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Rebecca says, fucking legend. Admittedly, that was me back then, but the me now doesn't feel the need to destroy Rupert's life. No, the new me just wants to, beat him, to win. That's growth, right? Which, I kind of see where she's coming from. It sounds good to say, I just want to beat the team, but she doesn't say beat the team. She says beat him. You're still making it personal.
Yeah. He has nothing to do with it. He just put the money up for it. Like, he's not involved in any of it at any point. She sort of is. Cause, but it's, it's this thing of go on, sorry.
I was going to say, I suppose he bought the club to spite her because now he's got a new team that is gonna beat Richmond. That's the whole kind of.
It's the last. It's the last gasp of a desperate man, though, isn't it?
It is.
Oh yeah, of course.
Just move on.
Yeah,
you're a rich white man. Your new wife's pretty fit. A couple of years, you can get rid of her and get a new one because that's how it works apparently with these people. Just live your old, weird, rich white man life. Why are you still focusing on? Is it because she left him and that's the slight?
Yeah, count your money. Just shut up and count your money.
Yeah, we get Scrooge McDuck money pile and swim around in it.
Yeah. We get to meet Barbara for the first time, played by Katie Wicks, who comes in to question Keely's wanting to spend 200 pounds a week on flowers. What do you guys think about her?
I love Katie Wicks.
Love Barbara. Oh yeah, Katie Wicks is brilliant.
Katie Wicks, the actress, is tremendous, but Barbara as well is just again corporate drone. But
she pretty much plays that role to a T, doesn't she?
Oh, she's so good in everything that she's in. But it's just she is the I don't know, what's the anchor for Keely's dreams. Because she's always no. Everything Keely wants to do, no. And then as the more we find out about her as well, the more you're like, oh, I love her. I love Barbara.
Oh, she's fucking great. But Katie Wicks is just a generally funny actress as well, isn't she? We talk about it a lot off the air camera, but Taskmaster, she was excellent on that.
Taskmaster, Ghosts,
new series of Taskmaster's got Nick Mohammed in.
Nick Mohammed, yeah. For some reason, dressed as Dracula in every episode as well. For some reason,
in the well, we need to get you on to Taskmaster, Tom. I think you'll enjoy it.
I think we talked about this at one point.
Yeah, we have. It's
basically it's like a game show, but it's all comedians. But basically, each round they get given just weird, like a weird task to do. I'm trying to think off the top of my head stuff that
the most famous one is throw this potato into a golf hole, but there's a big red circle around it, and you can't stand on the red circle. And they're in it's all filmed in one locked off sort of building location. So
they've got a house that they do all the tasks in. Yeah.
So there's a shed with stuff in it, and you can build stuff. And some people just choose to throw it, and if it bounces out, it bounces out, and you don't get the. But it's a series of more and more ridiculous and incredulous sort of tasks. But it's really good because some people are really good at it. Bob Mortimer, people who've got creative brains are tremendous at it. But some people are not because they're too.
Yeah. Katie Wicks was one who was thinking outside the box a lot and just doing weird shit, and it was I wasn't familiar with her until I saw her on Taskmaster, and I was like, oh, she's fucking brilliant at this. Yeah. This is her calling. And the fact that Nick Mohammed's not appeared in the latest trailer of it makes me think that he's either gonna not be very good at it or he's gonna just be mental on it.
They're saving all his good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because they usually don't include on the trailer the people who are really stand out funny on it, and the fact that Nick's not been on it at all, except for that bit where he's in a field full of cows dressed as Dracula, and he says, "Oh, I've stood in a cow poo."
Yep.
Makes me really excited to see.
This is real. We've not been on Diego Maradona's cocaine. Like, this is a genuine show that's on TV.
There hasn't been a gas leak in my house or Joe's.
But yeah, it is just there's like 17 seasons of it as well now. I think it's
wow.
We'll find a way to show you it somehow. But yeah, it's a fun, daft show.
I think Channel 4 On Demand is accessible in America. If not, they're all on the YouTube now.
Oh, there you go.
They're
Anyway,
all on the Taskmaster YouTube channel.
So Keely wants to spend 200 pounds a week on flowers. Says the office is cheerful and smells nice. Barbara says, "Look, flowers are for two things, Miss Jones: dead people and dead marriages." Dude, when she walks,
but again, it's that, and with that statement she makes, I know so much about Barbara.
Yeah. That's all the exposition you need. What's good, if you notice Rebecca's line when she goes, "She seems fun."
She seems fun.
I love the way that, like, when she leaves, she goes to Rebecca, "Lovely to meet you," and then walks out.
It's good.
But again, she's in like a grey blazer and skirt. I think she's just like corporate through and through, isn't she?
Yeah.
And yeah, but she still recognizes that. Oh shit, that's Rebecca. Well, like, but yeah, and then she goes, "Oh, she's my CFO," and Keely doesn't know what CFO means. How long has she been there?
She's been saying corporate flying object because it's been making her laugh.
Yeah. I love when Rebecca goes chief finance officer. She goes, "Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
why she's always talking about money."
Rebecca's line of "she seems fun" was season 2, episode 1, when Dr. Sharon comes in and talks and leaves, and he looks at Ted and goes, "She seems fun."
Yeah.
Nice.
But Barbara is from the company that put money up for Keely's. So she's there to keep an eye on, like, on the books, essentially. She's CFO.
Yeah. So Keely doesn't burn through all the money.
I mean, 200 a week on flowers is a lot.
That is a lot.
Just steal them from the roadside like I do.
or just get plastic ones and a
Febreze plug-in.
Yeah, if that's what I was trying to say, a Febreze plug-in, and then you're all good.
So Rebecca wants to have dinner, but Keely can't. She and Roy are having to talk with Phoebe, and that's all she says. We go back to West Ham, and Nate's on the pitch with the team. Nate calls out one of the players. He says, "Come over here. Come and stand on this line for me. Over here." He says, "Everyone, this is the dum-dum line. This is where dum-dums go. Stay. You, go in for the dum-dum. Try not to join him on the line. Go." And he makes him go in. I know it's mean, but I actually really kind of like that. I mean, he's gone, right? But like,
it's evil Ted, isn't it? It's not even.
It is evil Ted. Oh my god!
It's not Led Tasso. It's just evil Ted. It's doing a bit.
It is evil Ted.
Someone rather than building them up. Yeah.
Damn, that was good. Evil Ted. It's still entertaining, but it's vicious now. It's not
still a bit.
Yeah.
It's not about building people up. It's about singling them out for humiliation.
Wonderful.
Well, I think the thing with Nate as well in that situation is that obviously it's like the whole thing we said like about last season where the bully victim becomes the bully.
Yeah.
Where he's gone from being constantly picked on by the team, constantly like, and again, like he in Nate's mind, he's worked his arse off to get to this position. When that's partly true, but also it wouldn't, if it wasn't for the fact that Ted gave him a chance in the first place, he'd still be at Richmond getting towels thrown at him and picked on. But in Nate's mind, he's like, well, I had to crawl through all that shit. Now, so do you.
Yeah.
Because he's in the position of power now.
As well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
a woman through fear rather than friendship.
Yeah. This woman walks up and tells Nate that Ripper wants to see him. So he tells Disco to take over, and Disco walks up. I love this guy.
Why is there not more of Disco?
Why is there not more of Disco?
Every episode we should be asking, where is Disco?
Where is Disco? Just because my name is Disco doesn't mean we get the party, yeah? That's great. It's awesome. I love that guy. I never looked that guy's name up. I should look that guy's name up. Because he tells Disco, he says, 5 more minutes of this, then run them until they drop. Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, mate, yeah. Nate's gone full, like, Starship Troopers boot camp director, yeah.
Democracy.
So I got thoughts on this next scene because he goes in Rupert's office. We talked about this before we started recording. If you get the pullback of Rupert sitting in front of that window, that is absolutely the window from The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. That's the Emperor's window. And Return of the Jedi.
The set designer actually designed that based on the Emperor's throne room, yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Steps up to it and everything. It's just, it's an impractical office to work in. Right?
Yeah.
But it's ostentatious. It's showing, again, it's all about showing dominance over weaker people. And it's
it's literally just for Rupert, it's to show he's pure evil.
Oh, mate, he fully leans into the dark side in this season.
Oh,
yeah.
This season, like he goes to, like, as I say, like mustache twirling pantomime villain levels of evil. By the end of it,
force lightning people, he would have done by the end of this season. Yeah.
All he needs is a dog that laughs at his jokes, and he's like
Renfro, right? Was it or Renfield? Was it Renfield?
Yeah.
I was going for Dick Dastardly, but yeah, Renfield.
But no, but the dog that Danny kills, so they not replace it with Renfield? Is that?
Oh,
I can't remember, to be honest. But yeah. Also, what this? It's a sports building. Why is there this bizarre 1980s like Bill Murray's office in Scrooge style just room there? Like it's also the woman that he's his assistant is tremendous as well.
Yeah, yeah.
She's seen Rupert murder at least 3 prostitutes and covered it up.
Oh, at least, yeah. She's made the phone call for the cleaners, like in the John Wick franchise, you know. Gives them the gold coin, clean up the mess. You working again, John? Yeah.
Oh, that's going to annoy me. Is it? Move on.
It reminded me of Old Man Potter in It's a Wonderful Life because the chair across from his desk, when George Bailey sits down, it's way down. So Old Man Potter in his wheelchair can be above him.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the seat of power.
Again, I was like, I've seen this somewhere, but that's where it was, yeah.
Yeah, seat of power. So they talk about his trip. He took a trip to St. Bart's with dear friends, the Sacklers. We were legally required to stay miles offshore, but yeah, what a beautiful boat. What the hell have they done that they had to stay? What?
Right. Now, I looked this up, and apparently the Sacklers were the owners of the pharmaceutical company that invented OxyContin.
Oh,
which in America is a massive, like opioid problem.
Of course.
So more evil people that Rupert surrounds himself with.
Again, Rupert is just associating himself with absolute like wrong'uns, and I'm assuming that's why they have to exist in like the free water state thing, because they're not allowed to be on American soil because they'll be prosecuted or something. I don't know, but again, for a dumb throwaway line,
very clever,
that you have to go and like poke about a bit for, it just establishes Rupert as, I don't care who my friends are, as long as they're rich, like, and probably evil. Like,
yeah.
But again, just a throwaway line that I was like, that must be a real. Everything is there for a reason, as we always say.
It's true.
Oh yeah.
Rupert's talking about the delightful preseason prognostications, and he says, especially, aren't they delicious? Especially poor old Richmond. Can you believe they're picked to fish 20th? Nathan just stops and goes, well, yeah, because there's no 21st. And he finds that hilarious. He says, I hope you got more zingers like that in your back pocket for the presser today. And Nate's like, yeah, I might. Nate is not, here's part of my observation for my dealing with this Nate character, dark side, Anakin Skywalker bit. All right. Murder younglings and whatnot. Nate's not changed. Nate is still Nate. Nate is working for a new owner. He's timid. He doesn't know what to say. We presume Nate got a lot more money for this job. He didn't even think to buy himself a car. because Nate has not changed. Nate wanted validation, as you guys said. You were 100% right. He wanted a pat on the back and an attaboy. He felt like he wasn't getting it to the extent that he deserved. This is not a different Nate. It's the same Nate. Because he didn't roll up with complete confidence in a brand new car, and he's talking to Rupert like, well, Rupert, I know what you mean. He's still the same guy. Nothing's changed. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Tom, actually. So with the press conference, the way it's kind of like the way it is, that's the next scene, isn't it? The press conference.
Close.
Yeah. So yeah, the way that's kind of framed as well is that obviously it's like Ted when he's like having like the anxiety when he sat there and he's got like the ringing in his ears and the frame light bulbs are going off. It's framed exactly the same as that scene with Ted, and you can see that he's just bungling through his words, and then he obviously has to take a moment, and it's just like, okay, yeah. So it's like deep down to his core, Nate's still the same Nate, but this persona he puts on to kind of like get validation from pricks like Rupert is why he's a piece of shit. Because he's looking for validation from other pieces of shit.
And to be fair, that's who Rupert thought he hired. Rupert doesn't realize that it's still the same bumbling Nate. He probably doesn't even realize it because he calls him a killer. Nathan Shelley, you are a killer. Nate didn't say, fuck right I am, sir. No, he goes, thank you, Mr. Mannion. I'm like, what are you doing?
Because it's a father figure showing him appreciation.
That's it. That's it.
I think it's not so much Rupert doesn't know that he's not got the killer he thinks he has. I think Rupert's trying to manipulate him into becoming that. And again,
could be, yeah.
It's like with Rebecca in the first series where she was like just using various, like basically using Ted to try and destroy the club, whereas now Rupert is using Nate and West Ham to try and destroy Rebecca, Ted, and Richmond. It's like the roles are reversed from season 1 to season 3.
I still think Nate. There's still an inherent nastiness around Nate, though. Like with telling the guy to piss off, like when he pokes his head through the door. Like there is still, to people who he sees as inferior to him, he's a monster. Like with the new kit man whose name I've completely blanked on.
Will.
He's called like Will Kitman, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, but like to him, like to anyone who sees as inferior, he bullies, and it's Nate would never have been like that before. The old Nate would never have been like that before, but because of this validation that Rupert's giving him, it's growing within him. Again, not to Star Wars it, but it is, yes, let the evil flow through you.
And it's you're not wrong. But I still say that Rupert didn't hire the guy I thought he hired. This is not a Nate that had ambition. Apart from him talking down to the players, I think he looks pretty sharp on the sidelines. He looks like he knows what he's seeing. He's seen the practice play out, the games play out. And part of me's like, you know what? I kind of think he's built for this. I hate he's a douchebag now, but man, I think maybe he's found his niche. I mean, this is what he was supposed to do. He doesn't have any ambition. It was always, I should be, because you're not paying attention to me, but it wasn't, I have a plan. I'm going to do this and I'm going to get to this and I'm going to coach West Ham. It was offered to him. It was given to him. He didn't go out to seek to get that. So again, this guy, it's such an odd, and I don't mean it's poorly written. It's an odd character in as much as he's not that manipulative, scheming scoundrel. He's a guy that doesn't know what he's doing because he never really grew up and he acts out in weird ways. You know what I mean? It's
not a poorly written character. It's an incredibly well-written character because
it's very good. Yeah.
How many of us in our jobs don't really know what the hell we're doing? We just bumble through them. Like it's just Well, and it is just Nate. Like I still love Nate, but at this point, you've burnt bridges you didn't need to burn.
Yeah.
And especially in this press conference bit here now. And again, it is Rupert is there, pulling the strings on him. But Nate doesn't have to do this. And again, it's just because it's so incredibly well written for Nate as this character that he is just this mixed up box of nonsense. So
yeah.
If his dad once had just hugged him and told him he loved him, this never would have happened.
Yeah. Listen, I said in last season, I think his dad's to blame for 85% of what's wrong with Nate.
Yeah.
And I know that there's tough dads and the kids turn out fine, they become fine men. I think 85% of what's wrong with Nate came directly from his dad because he didn't know how to deal with it. And his mom, who made excuses for his dad, which never should have happened. At some point she should have, we're going off on something else. But anyway, this is why this show's so layered. It is cool here that they towed Nate's car, which will come back because they thought a janitor had parked there.
That's why they brought him up. One of the service staff has probably parked in the elite car park by mistake, and Nate goes, "No, that's my car."
And by the way, if he had, you're going to tow his car,
yeah, mate.
You assume when you go to work for these people that they would. Maybe they wouldn't have your tag number, but they'd know what. I don't know. Why would you just tow the car?
Well, he would have had to get a parking pass, wouldn't he?
That's my theory. Yeah.
There you go.
And it's not his first day there because we've seen him previously on the line. Anyway,
yeah.
So, but we're looking too much into a thing that's a horror bit, aren't we? You know what I mean?
It's Rupert's first day back, isn't it? Which is what they're kind of alluding to.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, when he's not been hanging out with drug murderers. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So the next bit we have is with Kenneth, the hippie driver, who came in to drive, the ex-cult leader hippie driver. Ted says, "Hey Ken, thanks again for helping us out at the last second." He goes, "Oh, no worries. You got lucky, really, Ted. It's a good rule of thumb never to ask a hippie to come in on his day off." He says, "I'm gonna go smoke some toad venom while I'm waiting. Then the whole day is not a waste. Cheers!" And he walks off.
But he's like, Beard's like, I to him as well.
Yeah.
Ted says, he going to be okay?
I love Beard's reaction to this. Oh, yeah, he'll be fine after 20 minutes, but it'll change him forever.
Yeah. He has the team he instructs the team to go down to the sewer. There's a construction worker, and they're like, "Hey, is that him? Roy Kent, is that you?" Roy says, "Get fucked." Yeah, that's definitely him. And they're both taking pictures and stuff of him. And they're all getting down to the sewer. And at this point, you're like, oh my, there's pictures being taken. This is probably not going to end well,
But again, a nice little reference back to the Roy and Keeley photos from season 1.
Yeah.
That's true.
You got to be careful what you do because there's always someone watching.
Very true. Back in Rebecca's office, Higgins sees
the fact as well that when he goes and talks to the guy who opens up the sewer, Ted knows him, knows his name, asks about his kids. It's just Ted doing Ted stuff. That's
the truth. Yeah. He once again, Ted Lasso is the Andy Griffith of this show for sure. Just saying. Back in Rebecca's office, Higgins sees Keely's tear stains on her shirt, and asks why she's dressed like an umlaut.
Dressed like an umlaut.
And and he reveals that he's had his shirt dry cleaned 6 times. He's like, I can't believe she wears that stuff on her eyes. What is she wearing? Rebecca's on West Ham's website and going to watch the press conference. Higgins looks at the screen and chokes immediately when he sees the screen. Rebecca wants to be ready to comment if Rupert says something snide about her or the team. And then we go back to the sewer. We get this back and forth happening. And then Ted tells the story of over the summer. Henry and I took a tour of this place with Ivar here. And Colin says, why would you take your kid for a tour of a sewer? And he says, well, it was his idea, actually. What happened was in the plane ride over here, the fellow sitting next to him was watching that horror movie, It. And well, Henry accidentally ended up watching it too. The whole team does that team thing where they go, oh, yeah. Where they're all agreeing with each other. So then when he heard about this tour, he asked if he could go on it in order to face his fears. And Roy goes, fucking smart.
Yeah.
And they're all like, yeah. They're all agreeing again. God, I love that shit. I love it so much.
I love the weird team interaction thing because it's them as a unit.
Yeah. They're all sharing the same brain, as we've said with Coach and or with Ted
What does
and
it
Beard.
smell of like down here? Poopy.
Poopy. Yeah. Oh my God, I love Jamie, dude. There again, folks, don't go look up Phil Dunster and how he really talks. Just don't. It'll crush you.
No.
It'll destroy it for you. Don't do it.
Still haven't.
Don't. Have you not? Don't do it. I rue the day I went to watch.
I regret bringing
you
that
guys
to the
put it in the
table.
group chat, and both were like upset about it, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Don't do it.
I apologize.
Ruins it for you.
I already did it with Brett Goldstein. That upset me enough. Well, at first, now I listen to his podcast quite a lot, so it's.
Yeah, it's okay because he's so.
I've got past it.
Nobody can.
His
talk
pod
like
is really
Boyd
good
without having like polyps on your vocal cords. Like it's just not possible.
That's very true.
His pod is really good. It's like the first time I heard Nikita Koloff not speak like a Russian. I remember back in the day, I wrestled Magnum TA, and man, and I'm like, oh my God, it's not. Don't ever do that. Stop doing that. You know.
I want to peek behind that curtain. Yeah.
Oh my God, don't do it anymore. Terrible. And we go back to West Ham. It's a press conference. Rupert takes the stage. He's playing out to the press. Then we go back to the sewer. So we got a back and forth happening. And back in the sewer, they tell the story of 1859. An engineer called Joseph Bazalgette, I think it was, and his team built more than 1,200 miles of interconnected tunnels and sewers. Its creation helped cure a massive cholera outbreak after untreated human waste found its way into the River Thames. Anyone know what the epidemic was called? And Beard says, Great Stink of 1858. That's correct. And all the guys are like, hey, they're very impressed by that. So it's a real thing. You guys know this. I'm sure it was a real thing. What do you guys, random question that suddenly popped in my head. Did you guys learn about this in school when you were growing up?
No.
No?
No. I think if I was raised in London, possibly it might have been taught, but you just know that up until like 1900 London, they just used to tip their shit into the river.
Yeah, it was kind of like the thing that we do get told about a lot is obviously like the Black Death and the Great Fire of London, which was 1666.
Yep.
That gets covered in history a lot, but it's kind of like an offshoot of that because obviously it's like a knock-on effect of that happened.
But around that area, you've got like the Industrial Revolution coming in and like more urbanized. God almighty, this is boring. More urbanized. I can talk at great length about it if you want. But yeah, more people coming into like London to look for work in the factories and stuff, and just it exploded, and there wasn't the sewer infrastructure to deal with it, and so people just used to dump shit in the river, which then led to people drinking out of the river and cholera and all the horrible things that come with that. Yeah. There's now actually like fish in the Thames and stuff. It's that clean now that like there's actual stuff in there, like the eels are coming back and all that stuff. It's quite nice.
Don't you guys worry about a thing. Over here in this country, they don't teach us anything either. Trust me. It's the truth. Bunch of stuff I didn't learn until I was a grown man. I'm like, why didn't I learn this in school? Like, do
your own research, but properly research, not just watching videos.
To be fair though, as well, I think it's like it's generally like a sort of a thing based on where you're from. Like I didn't know much about American history until recently because I've like kind of watched a lot of documentaries about like the American Civil War and stuff like that. But that's only in the last like maybe year or so that I've found out what I know about that now. I didn't learn it in school, for example, because
it's not our history.
In school. Yeah,
our version of history is very whitewashed with the British Empire being great and not a horrible plague upon the world.
Even then, though, we didn't really we more covered on like ancient Greece and ancient Rome, didn't we?
I remember doing Rome and a lot of stuff about World War II.
I was gonna say we touched on World War II eventually before I dropped history.
I got A, but it's not important. It's what you can run. You watch
I dropped it and massively regret dropping it.
The Rich Hall History of America documentary series.
Yes,
it's an kind of an older series. That's good because it's got Rich Hall in it.
Well, yeah, it instantly better because it's got Rich Hall in it.
Yeah.
Well, when Rupert introduces Nate, he introduces him as a wonder kid. He sits down and once again Pretty sure I said Wonderkind. Jesus Christ, let this go. Like,
He's trying to retcon his own history, though.
retcon his own history. Never gonna let it go. Reporter asks how you and the lads getting on, and then he goes, "Yeah, really great. I'm getting to know them, getting to know all about them, getting to like them, getting to hope."
Hope they like me.
Yeah, and of course that is from Getting to Know You from the musical The King and I, which I think they call him out on it here. He disappears under the table.
Right.
He has the flashes. You guys know what's happening here. He's still, for lack of a better word, he is, look, they apologized. They tried their best to make it up to him. He's still traumatized by it. And like, it sucks the way he deals with it, but he's still traumatized by getting pushed around. Like, whew. Yeah. I'm not going to take his side, but in that moment, I was kind of like, damn, he's dealing more with this than I maybe thought he was. Do you know what I mean? So, like, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
as I say, it's a lot of it is down to like the way he was obviously treated and the way he was kind of, like, again, he, in his head, he's like earned everything he's got, and to a degree, he has, because if it wasn't for him sort of speaking up to Ted and saying, "Oh, what about this?" and then Ted giving him the chance, he wouldn't be like managing a Premier League club. But also, this specific thing was handed to him. Out like it, as much as he probably eventually would have earned becoming a Premier League manager. In this instance, it's been handed to him out of a place of malice from Rupert. It's like a poison chalice. He's like just another chess piece that Rupert's using to try and like make Rebecca's life miserable.
And nothing good can ever grow from hate, and that's
exactly
that's like sort of Nate's thing. I was thinking about this as well. It's like the spitting thing. And I'm like, is it some kind? Again, this is me being kind of, but some kind of symbolic thing of him removing the goodness and letting the evil flow through him, sort of thing. Because I hate spitting anyway. The best of times, but
it's like he's spitting out the sort of like insecurities.
Yeah, I think it's purely like.
And it goes back to the makeover episode too, guys, where Rebecca told him she makes herself big, and she's like, "You have to find the thing that works for you." And so now in his head, I spit and I do, and I'm thinking, that is one woman's opinion of how to handle it. It doesn't mean that's what you should do, but
help him though.
They were trying to help him.
Converted it into
yeah. He took that as that's what I do. That's what I do. No, it was just a bit of advice. You can take that, or you can not take it, or you can come up with something else. Yeah. But he's like, I have to do this because she said no. It's like, be your own person. He's still going based off of what people tell him to do. And I have to. All right. It's God, man, that character. It's so fun to break down now. It is now. Because before I was like, I don't get this, but now I'm totally in. So I'm totally in. Yeah. But he spits, he does the change, and then the reporter asks him the question. He's like, you're the manager of a contending Premier League team. 2 years ago, you were a mere kit. He says you were a mere kit man. You know what? Screw off, man. What's that? Washing other team's underwear. What do you think a kit? Yes, that's what I did. Fuck off. What?
Everyone's got to learn to live in somehow. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, God.
It's another thing as well, where like you look at the press room that Nate's got compared to the press room that Ted has, where it's all sort of like,
ooh.
I don't want to say sort of like shock journalists, but it's
combative.
They're all kind of waiting for him to fuck up in that press conference. Whereas you look at
Ted's one, he knows them all, and he's like, Ted doing Ted.
Ted's ones are like sort of like a get together, whereas this is like we're trying to trip you up, where we want you to fail, even when like he kind of like wins them over by like shooting that one guy down, and then they're like, all right, we want a salacious comment about Richmond. Oh, have you seen this? And then him like looking at Rupert for even the way it's shot, like with the press conference later, where like Rebecca wants Ted to make the response, and it's like Nate keeps looking at Rupert for approval, whereas Ted doesn't look at Rebecca once and she doesn't approve in that scene. But then it realizes later on that he's done the right thing in the way he's handled it. And
it's just it just comes down to Nate looking for validation in all the wrong places.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really good comparison there. And I saw it play out, but I didn't really connect it to you. But that's why they did it. That's really good.
In this episode, there was a lot of parallels that just run throughout it.
Yeah. There had to be, because it's literally like you've had Ted and Nate who were kind of like sort of like superhero and sidekick at one, like Batman and Robin have
Jedi
gone their separate
Padawan.
ways. Yeah. Obi-Wan and Anakin.
I said Qui-Gon
Right.
and Obi, but yeah.
Yes. So, he shoots down the reporter. He says, it's a bit overwhelming for you. Yes. And he says, not for me. I earned this job. What's overwhelming is the confusion I feel when someone's so intelligent looking asks such a stupid question. And keep in mind, keep in mind, Higgins and Rebecca have been watching this from a distance. Back in the sewer, Isaac and the team want to know why they're down there. Roy yells silence, which just echoes. It echoes. And then Ted goes into the story about, we're surrounded by all this poopy, as Jamie said it. Gentlemen, right now, y'all's brains are basically London in 1857. They're blocked up by other people's dookie. Y'all need to make an internal sewer system within yourselves and then connect to each other's tunnels. Help each other keep that flow. I got so lost here. I thought you are stretching to make this work. Maybe it's just me. I think the idea was good.
Kind of weird allegory that he does.
It's one of those things, though, isn't it? It all makes sense, and also with a lot of the sort of analogies that Ted makes, a lot of it is very much him thinking outside the box to try and put that point across. Obviously, this when he's when he got the team to lift the case. Things like that, where it's everything he does to sort of unite the team. From an outsider looking in, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. To the point where people took pictures of him going into the sewer, and it's being laughed at on social media, and Rebecca's furious about it, and it's but for Ted, and for the people who the viewer watching as well, who can see what it's done. It's worked. It's had the desired effect. Sometimes words can only get so far. The fact that he's took them to that place to visualize that thing.
I think that's the thing with it is if you asked me what I did last week, I couldn't tell you. But if you asked me what I did when I went to Bruges on holiday, I can remember the entire thing incredibly vividly because it's different. It's in a different location. Yeah. So I think if you set these things in things, they're more inclined. Again, we're scrambling, but I think it's a bizarre and confusing analogy, even for Ted. But
it is.
But they're always going to remember whenever they hear this thing about you're going to finish last. Remember when we had to go down to that stinky hole?
But
let it go.
Again, when Jamie touches on it later, where it's it's basically the whole thing is just let the ship pass you by and just focus on the task at hand. But it's obviously him kind of going, channel this. It's it overcomplicates it, but Jamie's...
Show, don't tell, but in this case, maybe don't show, because I don't want to go into the sewer.
Again, I think that's the desired effect, because Jamie's managed to use it to sort of influence the team.
There we go. You have to break it down to the simplest person. If Jamie understands it, everyone else in that room understands it.
Yeah.
And we pointed out in season 1, this is wax on, wax off. This is wax on, wax. This is paint the fence. This is Mr. Miyagi making him do meaningless chores, remedial tasks, so we can learn to fight. This is Ted showing them stuff that they don't understand why they're there, but then later they can process, and it helps them in their game. And it's right. He's right. I mean, yeah. So he says, if you're feeling down, get some Danny in your life, or you can learn from, Richard's vast knowledge of expensive wines. And Richard says, fine wines. Coach, the thing is, a great bottle of wine really doesn't need to be an expensive bottle of wine. You get it? They all go, oh, yeah, with each other.
These little teammates have just Rashad can't let it go. He's like, no.
Yeah, fine wines, coach. So back at the presser, Nate's asked why his old team is picked to come in last. He looks to Rupert for validation first before he says because there's no 21st.
Same joke.
And then
new material.
Yeah, really. So I like when Ivor said, he asked him, where does this go? Like Germany, where does it go? And he says, processed through a treatment plant, dumped back into the ocean where we swim and get our seafood. And they're all like, oh. And Ted says, okay, yeah, no, that's horrible. So, that's good. They all start heading back up. This is awesome. Beard says, no sudden movements near the bus driver.
No sudden movements, yeah, because he's whacked out on
toad venom.
There's tree frog juice.
Toad venom. What'd you do this weekend? I did some toad venom. I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, crazy.
But it's like the fact that Beard knows the side effects of it as well. Like nobody move quick near him.
Yeah, he already knows. That's good because Beard's got that mysterious past, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Nate says it makes sense to him if, because back at the press conference, they show a pic of the team going in the sewer. Nate says it makes sense to him that they're training in the sewer because their coach is so shitty. I really felt that one for some reason when he said it that way, and I thought, all right, I don't think that this is an evil Sith Lord I'm looking at. I still think it's the same guy, but he's obviously got a grudge against Ted for reasons that are weird.
Yeah, like that one's literally just like, again, up until that point, he was just sort of talking down Richmond. Then he goes directly after Ted. And
but
that's
again,
when, like,
looking at Rupert all the time and like,
yeah.
It's him trying to be like a witty Ted.
Well, like,
but the best he can do is like sewers have poo in them, Ted's pooey. Yeah, that's the best he can do.
But again, though, like Rupert wants, like, his issue now is not just with Rebecca, is it? It's with Ted. It's
all
with,
of it. Yeah.
Like, you know, for a fact, Rupert's still stewing about that darts game from like the first season.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
He hasn't forgotten that. He's probably furious about that because Ted absolutely like pulled his trousers down in front of everybody and made him look like a dickhead.
He did. They get back to Ted's office. He's checking the app for Henry's flight back home. And Beard is saying that he likes Kenneth. He seems really plugged in. And Roy says, that nutter told me to ask the fucking earth to help me carry some of my burden. And Ted says, he ain't wrong.
Yep.
Beard says, not a terrible idea. So they check their phones to see what Nate said. The locker room then sees it.
If we ever get a spin-off series, I want Beard and Kenneth's trip through Amsterdam style thing of just them getting hammered in various places.
That'd make Beard After Hours look like a sitcom.
Yeah, discussing like the infinite and stuff.
So the locker room's getting pissed off because of what they see on their phones, and Jamie says, "Hey, it's just poopy. Let it flow." And then he says, "Aye, just like in the sewer." And I'm like, "Yes, we got it.
They have to take him to the sewer, otherwise the lesson wouldn't have been learned. Yeah.
What's important about this as well is obviously like Ted's about to go and talk to the team, and Roy stops him, and then Jamie like immediately steps in and goes, "Lads, it's fine." Like,
also,
again, it's like the fact that like pretty much everything that Ted says now to Jamie is like gospel.
Yeah,
it's also helping Jamie become the leader he needs to be.
But Jamie is also now's locker is in that corner as well, which comes into play in a bit for other characters. Like, but yeah, it's just one of those weird things that he gets relegated from that corner. Yeah.
But suppose with him getting relegated from that corner, doesn't it like mean it actually ingratiates him? It's like it's almost like a metaphor for Jamie's still on the outskirts of the team despite how much he's done, and now that's fully. Oh no, I put that
as that corner is like the locker room sort of leader thing. It seems to be in this sort of season. Again, not important. Just a weird thing that like he stands there and
I can't wait to talk about Saba.
I have so much.
Oh,
prohibition
yeah.
about
Excited
Saba.
to talk about
Yeah.
Saba.
But yeah,
Or
it's
it-
the fact that Jamie, from the first season where he hadn't nothing to do with Ted, is like that. Jay said, it's gospel. Like Ted is his guru, his wise man, like, and he understands it. Like he knows it's for the greater good. He knows it's for the embetterment of self, and it's again the great character development of Jamie Tart has led us from him being a shallow, narcissistic bumhole to being a slightly less shallow narcissistic bumhole.
Yeah.
But
Well,
like,
even when he's being like a little bit narcissistic, like at the start of the episode when he's like, "Don't worry, you've got me," and it's like Sam like looks over and like grins at him as if to say, "Oh, fucking hell, Jamie," as opposed to like normally where Sam would have just like rolled his eyes.
it's an
and been like,
accepted character trait. Yeah.
At the press conference, Ted compliments Sarah on her new hair color. Was it just for fun, or is she going through a breakup? And she says both. He goes, "Yeah, no, I get it."
I get it.
And she asks him about the unanimous opinion that Richmond will be relegated again at the end of the season. He says expectations for us are low as a rattlesnake's belly button, but we got 38 chances to prove all them folks wrong, and my hopes are as high as a giraffe's top hat. Next question. And if it is, why is a giraffe wearing a top hat? Don't ask. And we see Lloyd put his hand down immediately. Yeah. That guy in the front row.
Don't ask me, ask the giraffe.
Yeah. He was there for Ted's first conference in season 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Is there not a bit before this where like Rebecca admonishes him for taking them into the sewer?
Yeah. So after
she does, yeah.
After that
it's
scene like, where Jamie like says that, basically Ted gets a text saying my office now, and then basically dresses Ted down, but like says how he needs to stand up for himself and he needs to fight back.
I need you to fight.
Because people are coming for him now, and like they're coming for the club, and they're trying. They want the club to fail, and she needs someone who wants to make the club succeed. And it's like that thing, isn't it, where like Keeley says, "Let Ted be Ted," and I think this is the only, like, not the only time we see it the series, but certainly the first time where Rebecca's doubting that and trying to micromanage him and control her a little bit more. And Ted, like, because she's like, it's not Rebecca and Ted talking, it's Ted's boss and Coach Lasso talking, which is very important. She calls him Coach Lasso throughout the entire scene.
You're 100% right. She does.
She never calls him Ted. She calls him Coach Lasso until the very end where she does call him Ted. At the very, very end where she says, "Fight back, Ted."
Yeah.
And that's like, she's told him off, and now as a friend, she's saying, don't let them beat you, fight back, defend yourself. But again, she brings up all about how, like, they're making the club look stupid, they're making Ted look stupid, they're making Rebecca look stupid. And she lists off all these things, and that's where it's like, okay, like it sinks into Ted that there's a lot more work to do, I think, but he's still going to do it his way.
I mean, this is the Rebecca that we would have gotten had season 1 not happened. Had she not brought him in as a joke, had she brought him in to truly be the coach and not with a hidden agenda. This is the kind of Rebecca probably he would have gotten, where it would have been, we're friendly, but I'm your boss. We need to win. What are you doing? You couldn't bother telling me you were going to put him in the sewer. You know how this looks? Like, I can't say I'm not on her side here, but as Keeley pointed out, Ted has reasons for what he's doing, you know?
But she's also spiraling massively. Like Rupert, as much as she said Rupert isn't, like, it's different now. He's still under her skin.
Oh,
like, and all the press and everything, like it's clearly got to her, and I think she doesn't think that Ted's taking it seriously, looking about in the sewers and whatnot. But as we know, everything Ted does is for a reason.
But it goes back as well to like what we were saying earlier about like Ted's passion not being there, and all of a sudden it's like, well, she's looking at it and like, you're not taking this seriously. What is up, sort of thing, but without saying why aren't you taking this seriously? Which is like she's essentially admonishing him for all the things that he's doing wrong in this, like on this first couple of days back, but she's not asking why. Which is the important question she needs to ask. It's not you're doing these things wrong. It's, well, why are you doing these things wrong? Like, what's the root cause for you to be doing this? Which is why this thing which I think you shouldn't be doing because of X, Y, and Z. Instead, she's like, don't do that. And that's the thing. She can't learn from that, and Ted can't learn from that. But obviously, going through this press conference, she kind of has the realization she was somewhat wrong in her approach.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, like because all the way through the first 2 seasons, Ted has done things off the book and slightly bizarrely, and has got the results required. And again, I think it purely comes down to the fact that like the papers were saying that they're going to finish last, and the stuff that like Nate said, it's all just built up, and she's lashed out at the wrong person for the right reasons, or like it's a weird thing. But I think it's just to sort of break down and then rebuild that relationship between them.
Yeah.
And what's cool is we get Marcus Adebayo, who announces himself as from the Independent, and the room acknowledges him. Yeah. Ted congratulates him. He wants to know about Nate's comments, and then you get a moment of Rebecca thinking, "Oh, here we go." That's says
the only time in the entire press conference that he addresses Rebecca as well, because he looks at her.
He does,
and then he goes through.
There's a moment of him going, "Should yeah."
Other than that, the whole time she's just like staring a hole through him, looking disappointed.
Yeah, she was.
And Ted's just not even addressing it. Like he can see it, but even like the certain things where like she'll look annoyed at him and she'll roll her eyes, and he doesn't even address it. But then again, it's like, as you say, they've had to like break down that entire thing to build it back up, and he does it with this press conference where he obviously like wins back the room, even Rebecca.
It's incredibly well done with just a series of looks. Like,
yeah.
He says, "I thought it was hilarious."
Facial expressions in the scene's fantastic.
She's great. Yeah. When he says, "I thought it was hilarious," he says, "I mean, he came and got us, didn't he? No doubt about that." But that's Nate the Great for you. He's the same way on the pitch. He'll find the tiniest little weakness in the team and just want to attack that. He's a junkyard dog man and smart. They're real lucky to have him over there at West Ham. I wish him the best of luck. And I'm thinking, that is how you get your enemy. You will never. It's not a pro wrestling promo where you yell at each other. You get your enemy. Yeah. You get your you get your enemy by coming back down.
Doesn't make you look like an idiot. Like he's took the high road. And it's like
Well, yeah, because he killed him with kindness, didn't he?
Yes.
And Ted, you've got to think Ted knows what he's doing here to a degree. Like, because he knows that's going to boil Nate's piss. That he's like, he's not shown that he's annoyed. He's complimented Nate. He's like praised Nate, and then he's gone, I mean, come on, is that all he had? Like,
that's it. Like, yeah.
Like, there's so much better things he could have said. And obviously, he talks about like looking like a Ned Flanders cosplaying as Ned Flanders. And then he starts getting everyone to say, "You know why I'm so
just
dumb?"
A bit, doesn't he?
But even the thing is, it's so disarming that like one of the first question is, "But why?" And he goes, "Well, just like play along. Just ask me why I'm so. Why am I asking you this?
Call and response.
Do this or yeah." But like they're all shocked because again, it's like going back to like Nate's press conference where they're trying to get like some salacious comment from Nate about Richmond and Ted, and they're like, "Well, why aren't you like giving it back to him?" And he's just being Ted about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Nate has no response to this. Like, there's nothing he can say. And also, like, it's Ted doing Ted stuff. Like, he's always been like this. And like you said, it's going to boil Nate's piss chronic because all he knows is
You see him
vitriol.
slam his laptop shut, don't you?
All
really
he
good.
knows is vitriol and like bullying. And like nothing good can come from hate. And like, yeah. And then Ted just doing the call and response bit of how tall are you? Well, like the bits.
Like, I'm so dumb, and then
that's it.
It's Lloyd who asks, isn't it? Why are you so dumb? And he looks really scared.
Yeah,
How
he's
do you not know the
genuinely
bit?
curious. He's genuinely curious. Oh my God. And you know, what's good about all this is that he's doing this call and response back and forth. And like you said, disarming the situation and making fun of it and getting the room back. And he wins by taking the high road. In season 1, Jamie called this yeehaw bullshit. Remember that?
Yeah.
I've actually used that. I've incorporated that. I used it out loud this week with somebody. And I'm like, my brain suddenly went to yeehaw bullshit. So anyway, but no, it's awesome. And he gets Rebecca. Rebecca's like, oh God, here we go. Till Keely texts her and says, wait to let Ted be Ted. Which is great. Really
and
good.
Like, she has this look of like, oh, I may have done a mess up here.
Yeah. So
well, even then, like after the text, she's still a little bit like apprehensive, and then she kind of smiles and just like joins the room and like
she's doing how dumb I she joins in like it's it's a great little scene.
It's really good. Much needed. Roy and Keely are having the talk with Phoebe. We didn't really mention with Henry and now Phoebe. These kids sprouted during filming. Like, you can tell, you can see them changing and got taller. Both of them did. So, yeah.
I also love the fact that, like, I never noticed it before, but she's obsessed with ice cream.
Yes.
She's always asking for ice cream. And then she's like, she finishes the bowl of ice cream. It's like, ice cream before dinner? Something's wrong.
Either I've done something wrong or you've done something really bad. Oh no, I've done something really good or you've done something really bad.
I zip past
incredibly self-aware.
I zip past the part of Rupert getting Nate a brand new car. I missed that bit. It just happened.
I mean, it ain't a thing. The woman shows up, gives him the box, and he's like, "Should I open it in front of you?" And she goes, "It's a car."
It's a car.
Well, that's the thing as well, though. Like, Nate says about his car, like, "Oh no, that's my car." That means Rupert still had his car towed.
Yeah.
Like, he still had the car towed. Like, didn't ask if Nate had anything in there that he needed.
You have 30 minutes to remove your cube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't hate Ted. You don't. You're not fitting in. You're not filling the role. You don't hate that. You're mad. You don't know how to deal with your anger and your perceived, bully, whatever's going on. But like, he's not, damn right, I got a car. Me and this team, he's not, it's not who he became. He didn't become
it's
another person.
I think it's referenced later on in the season. It's love bombing. Rupert is basically love bombing Nate by here's a car, here's like all this stuff. It's to try and win him over with material possessions as opposed to getting to know the person and know the personality behind it, which is what Ted did.
That's it. Like, I think Nate wants what Ted got, not what he's getting, and it's all superficial. Like, West Ham, they've got a new owner. He's flashing his cash. He's buying the manager a new car, and it's like Nate doesn't want that. Nate wants to be told he's doing a good job. Nate wants to
just be appreciated.
Yeah, Nate wants the team to like him and to be a team. He wants his staff to like him, and it's partly because of the way he's acting, but also because it doesn't happen anywhere else but Richmond. Like, it's not because of what like every club has that. It's because Ted's created that at that club.
Yeah.
again, it's multifaceted. Nate's bizarre, erratic behavior.
Yeah.
It is a banger car, though.
I
honestly thought it would have been funnier if he'd have pulled out and stalled or something, just because he's driving a Minute and now he's driving a supercar,
an Aston Martin,
something Bond would drive,
or just crunch the gears as he come out, just summer, just to show that it's not above his station.
One little thing I did was it was the exact same color as the Mini.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Well done.
Well done.
It was literally he just upgraded his car.
Yeah. Well, the bit with Keely and Roy, if we hadn't figured out going into it, we get it now. They're breaking the news to Phoebe. They're no longer together. Keely's version is they're on a break. Roy's version is they're broken up. The truth is they are broken up. There is not a break. I won't go into it, but dudes know what I mean.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that is that Keely keeps trying to say no, this is just a break. Because I do think to a degree Keely once she's got all this shit together and all the ducks in a row, she wants to kind of put more time into the relationship. Yeah, pick up where they left off. And Roy's that kind of I don't even think stubborn. I think Roy's just that kind of pessimistic about it. That will actually happen.
I put it down to Roy lives in the real world.
Yeah,
he knows that this can never work. Whereas Keely is still trying to find herself and believes that we can pick this up once, like you said, once we've got everything back in order. We can, but Roy's it's never gonna work. There's no point hanging on to it when it's already dead.
Yeah. Phoebe's more smart about this whole situation than Roy and Keely are comparing them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when they get in the car, can I say a bad word? I think you're incredibly stupid.
No, even before that, where she's well, why though? You've only been together a year, so I guess I can accept that things end, but at the same time, if you care about each other, why? And they talk about being busy, and it's yeah, but you've always been busy. And then there's a weird bit in this though where Roy mentions obviously, Keely started a new business, and then Roy says, and we're down a coach, so I've got to think of tactics now. And Keely goes to comfort Roy, and Roy looks at her and she just stops. It's really odd. It's because it's they're still mutually okay. They're still amicable. They're not. It didn't
Keely
end
says.
badly.
Keely says that she's but I can still come and see you whenever. We're still friends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's again. I think it's just not the naivety of Keely, but I generally just think because again they still care for each other, but Roy lives so much in the real world that he's this cannot work. It's just, we're too.
I think it's more that Roy's just seeing everything in black and white when he shouldn't necessarily, because at the end of the day, as soon as he says he doesn't know if he's made the right decision, and as soon as Phoebe says, I think you're being incredibly stupid, then he's if I really cared about this as much as I do, I should try and make it work under no matter what. The fact that Keely's still she's booking herself a room to cry in, and she's she's able to make time to meet up with Roy and Phoebe. She can do
there is
it.
time for it. Yeah, they're just making excuses.
There's time for it. It's just more a case of that. I think this is what Keely sees that Roy doesn't. There is time for it. It's just more a case that she's got to adjust to that big change in her life of going from working for the club and being able to see Roy all the time to having her own business and
having to schedule that time.
Having to allocate the time to see Roy.
And it's all again. It's Keely's arc of Keely growing up.
Because even Phoebe says oh yeah, a career change is a big thing, can be a big thing on a relationship, especially if you've both got a career change. And it's like, yeah, that's absolutely fair, but also like as you say, you figure these things out, you try and make time.
Yeah. Well, we're almost to the end of this one, kids, as Beard and Ted are walking back to Ted's flat, and Ted's quizzing Beard about, you ever wonder why we're here? Beard says in London or on Earth. He says, well, both, I guess, but for the sake of conversation, let's go with London. He says, I know it's nuts we came here in the first place, but at this point, I can't tell if it's more crazy or less crazy that we're still here. Beard says, we grabbing a beer, Coach? She says, no, I can't. I'm going to talk to Henry. Why? Because we just passed your apartment.
Yeah.
So Ted goes, he's not here. He's gone. Right. So he runs back to his flat and he to talk to Henry, and I asked how the flight was. Henry says it was good. I watched a movie called this is a good line. It was good. I watched a movie called The Exorcist. Wait, you did what? He's like, I'm kidding. That was actually a really good line.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Still delivered crappily, but it was a good line.
Oh, yeah.
Ted says,
I think
is he like a producer's son or something? Because
is he? I don't know. Maybe
anyone
maybe.
better.
I'm gonna find out. I'm finding
Could have got
out.
like a mannequin with a rubber band for a mouth, that it would have been better.
Yeah, he's a producer. He's got to be a producer's son. Yeah. He says, that was good. You got me. He said, look, I put the trophy you gave me right down here, smack down in the middle of Nelson Road Stadium. That's the Lego Stadium, kids, from the beginning.
Yeah.
He says, that's great, but why is Nate off to the side? And he goes, well, remember, he's not part of the team anymore. He says, yeah, but you can still be friends, right? And Ted's like, you know what? You're right. Here. And he puts him right back on the pitch beside of him. And he says, look, I don't like being away from you, right? And that I only ever do it for something that's really important. Like something I believe in. And do you understand why I'm still here? He says, of course, to win the whole thing. He says, when I don't forget, winning ain't everything. He goes, yeah, Dad, but you got to try, right? I'm like, this kid's smarter than I gave him credit for. And
Yeah.
Ted's like, no, you're absolutely right. We always have to try.
It's this little confirmation that I think he needed from someone, like from his son, or someone that in that inner circle sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just that confirmation of this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
It just it resets his brain to, right, we got to win the whole thing then, and then I can go home.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah.
It's like the Hunger Games.
It's not even got to win the whole thing, is it? It's like, I've at least got to try and win it.
Yeah.
Try.
He never, like, that's one thing which is quite good about this scene, is that Henry never puts the pressure on Ted to win it. He just,
You've got to try.
like, yeah, it's like if Ted's taught him nothing, it's that you've got to try.
Mm. And then Henry shows him his Infinity Gauntlet. Ted says, whoa, what is that? He says, Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. Jake gave it to me. Oh, snap. Well, that is cool. Who's Jake?
Snap.
And he says, Mommy's friend. See, it lights up. And you're like, oh, my.
Whoa. Roll back. Who's this guy buying my son presents?
Exactly.
Well, the thing with this as well is obviously, like, Ted's literally said, just like, let all the poupée flow, and then all of a sudden it's blocking because
Big old bungled
because
finger.
it's like it's like, wait, what? And he's basically not practicing what he's preaching in this one scene, because as soon as that happens, it's like, wait, what? Like it's like an earth-shattering revelation.
It's never been mentioned to him that his ex-wife is seeing someone, and like
was alluded to in the last season,
but
because she there was the whole like late night, and he's like, you're right, none of my business.
But it's the mummy's new friend is buying me toys, and I was like, oh, I don't like this.
And plus, it makes me, first I didn't like Michelle, and then when she got emotional and was telling Ted that she's gonna make it work, she was gonna feel good again. I'm like, oh, this girl, I get it now. God, I don't hate her anymore. Now I kind of hate her again, because I'm like, You couldn't have just texted Ted to say, Henry's going to be around a guy. And I just, for your own courtesy, I want you to let you know we're just casually dating, but Henry may talk about him. I don't know.
Isn't he?
We find out
later.
Yeah. That's what sits uncomfortably in my palate. I think I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Oh, like we'll get to it when he comes into it. But Jake's a piece of garbage.
Because I was like, that's not right. That's like
Jake's
reaching the bottom of sofa or something. Yeah. Yeah. And he's
Jake.
an asshole anyway.
Jake and Nate can hang out together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jake, Nate, and Rupert, kids, that's the unholy trinity at this point. You'll find out. You'll all find out together.
Like, with the Thanos gauntlet as well, the snap. I was like,
yeah.
Dumb, but fun.
Oh my God, why did I just get that? Can you believe the Marvel guy didn't freaking get this? Oh, I need a nap.
Again, it was just
I need a nap.
It's a dumb throwaway joke, but
I'm so used to Ted saying weird 80s, 90s cliches. It just went over my head, you know? Wow. Jesus, I need a nap. That's nuts. Well, there you have it, kids. Episode 1, season 3 in the books. It only took us 6 days. We got it done. We told you these episodes are longer. This episode
45
is, 46 minutes. Yeah. They get longer too. So get ready for that.
It's like a film.
Yeah.
There's two, isn't there? That's over an hour.
I think so. Yeah. Quite
Maybe
a bit.
3 actually over an hour. But the last episode
I
was
suggest bringing snacks in future if you're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay hydrated anyway.
Yeah. We know half of you are listening on the crapper. I take my phone to the bathroom. I do. Like full disclosure. I'm normal, aren't I? I'm just people say, we're too addicted to our tech. Shut up. I'm reading your criticism of my addiction to tech on my phone. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Do you remember having to read the back of the shampoo bottle and stuff like that? You know? Simpler times.
Put a magazine.
Toilet books. Not enough toilet books anymore. Like the stuff you used to get at Christmas, it was like, witty
toilet books.
Yeah, joke books, toilet joke books. Viz Profanosaurus books. There, I know. But yeah.
So, guys, for biggest takeaways, Joe, let's start with you. Biggest takeaways from this episode.
It's the breaking down, rebuilding of Ted and Rebecca's relationship. Ted still coming to terms with the breakup of his marriage and the fact that he feels like maybe he could have tried more? ? I don't know. And Nate falling to the dark side, but not really, because I said your like argument for it of Nate not actually changing is a compelling argument, but I still choose to believe that he is full of bad midichlorians, or however it works in Star Wars. I don't know, but yeah, it's and again it sets up the rest of the season because the seeds planted in this one that come to fruition later on. And it's nice to be back with the familiar gang of them. I'm sad for Roy and Keeley. But, all good things must come to an end.
That's fair. Jay, what you got?
Yeah, this does a really good job of setting up for the rest of the season. As I say, like the first scene, kind of planting the seeds for exactly where we're going here. Obviously, a lot of issues with Ted's homesickness as well. One thing we forgot to mention, which I've just realized because from looking at my notes to try and remember myself, when Ted's on the phone to Dr. Sharon and she goes into the room after, the guy in the bed is the owner of the Greek restaurant.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, because I wrote it down going, oh, it's the cokehead from the Greek restaurant. And I was wondering why I knew him. And so I looked it up and confirmed it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, you only see it for a second or so.
You only see him for about 10 seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, does he mention his girlfriend in that episode? Because now I want to go back and watch again. Right? There could be something there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool parallels, as I say, with Ted and Nate as well in this episode, where obviously Ted's kind of very content where he is, but he's lost his passion. Whereas Nate's got what he wanted, but you can tell he's out of his depth and he doesn't really feel like he belongs there, and he wants to kind of recreate what Ted created at Richmond.
Like a mule with a spinning wheel.
Yes. Also, Barbara, great addition.
Oh.
We love Barbara. She's fantastic.
Team
Barbara all the way. Yeah, but very good episode. Very good starting point to what I thought was a really good series.
And episode 2, we get another new cast member.
We do.
We're not going to tell you who it is because he's awesome.
I was going to say, I think I mentioned him before.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant someone else, but I think that's later on, isn't it? Yeah. I can't wait.
I can't wait.
The avocado-shaped enigma that is.
The notes I'm going to be taking on that man.
Oh, I've already done it, and it's a lot.
I mean,
and the person he's based on in real life.
We need to start a cult of. Because his wise preaching.
So get ready for that, kids. Again, if you've been watching in real time, you know there was a lot of time between 2 and 3. But by the time you see this, we're in a normal cadence. We should be good. Thank you for tuning in to Season 3, Episode 1. Stay tuned for Season 3, Episode 2, coming your way very soon. We appreciate you watching. Please continue to share the show. Send all feedback and comments our way. We'd much appreciate it. Tell somebody about it. We're still having a blast doing it. We hope you're still having a blast listening and or watching, hopefully both. And we'll see you again soon. Hang in there, kids. We'll be back. Don't miss us. For Jay and Joe, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.